Contractor's Secret Weapon weekly podcast with your hosts, Dave Negri. This program is dedicated to helping contractors, remodelers, painters, roofers, roof cleaners, and business owners in the construction industry gain an unfair advantage over the competition. This program supplies you with information that the competition doesn't even know exists. This session brought to you by ContractorsSecretWeapon.com.
Well, hey, this is Dave Negri with Contractor's Secret Weapon, and today we have a really fun guest with us. We have Tom Hopkins, who we've had on the show before, and Tom has the reputation of being America's #1 how-to sales training with over 5 million salespeople and entrepreneurs and sales vendors on 5 continents have benefited from his live trainings, and he's perfected his selling skills during his 8-year real estate career, in which he received numerous awards. And in his last year selling real estate, he sold 365 homes, and that was pretty much by him, and average of 1 per day. And that's really something unheard of at that time, and it's not really done too much today without a huge, huge team. And since that time, Tom has developed and customized his proven effective selling skills for over 300 industries. He's authored 18 books on subjects of selling and success, and over 2.9 million copies of those books have been read by sales pros the world over. He's awesome. I've listened to him for years and read many of his books. And Tom, I just want to thank you for being with us again. The last time was a lot of fun, and I'm sure that this time will be a lot of fun too. So thanks for being with us today.
Well, good, Dave. Good to be back. Good to share some concepts of greatness and success.
Awesome. Now, today I wanted to, talk with you about, goals and goal setting. And I know that we're coming up to the end of the year, and, we've set most of our goals pretty much, and we can do some final adjustments. But pretty much now is the time to start for next year, isn't it?
Definitely. In fact, I think that, life is like a big blueprint, and most people don't have a blueprint of their next success because they don't sit down and say, hey, I've got to write down all my goals and get them in order, short-term, long-term. And, November, December are the goal-setting times to get your whole year of 2017 ready to go. So I think our show couldn't be at a better time to, share some ideas, and I hope the folks that are listening will say, hey, both these guys, Dave and Tom, have reached their goals, and so I got to listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, that would be nice to have people listen to us, or more than they do now, right?
And apply what they hear.
Hearing's the one thing, and applying's the other thing. And I was just thinking as you were talking, it's pretty awesome to now, like you were talking about planning for next year, but also while we're doing that, I was thinking about, well, let me take a look at what I've done this year and what I wanted to do, and what can I do better for next year? You think that's a good suggestion?
Oh, definitely. In fact, Dave, I think people need to sit down and just maybe take an hour or two of total being away from everyone, and if they're married, with their spouse, and say, okay, here's what happened this last year. Here's what we made. Here's the income. Here's our profit. Here's our goals we reached. And then they have to really sit down and, like a blueprint, which is how you build a building. I mean, not a level of dirt is turned on a lot for a building without a blueprint in writing. They have to make their life's blueprint where they say, okay, here's what I want to have happen in 2017. And they have to get serious about putting it down in a writing format where they can look at it, visualize it, internalize it, and make it happen.
So what would you say that is probably the biggest challenge in getting most people to actually take this on?
Well, what's amazing is most people that are hearing this message spend more time planning the details of their 2-week vacation every year than the details of their long-term financial, emotional, physical, and spiritual success, which is such a shame. They need to really sit down and say, you know what, I've got to this year sit down and plan, set my goals, short-term, long-term, and actually do what I want to do. And my toughest challenge in life as an educator in success is to get people to commit to do it, not hear it, think it's great, but then go on and not do it.
Yeah, so it's getting stuck in that rut of I always like to call it, you get caught in the weeds and you don't do anything except try to push through instead of planning it out.
That's right.
So it's just making yourself, basically setting an appointment with yourself to do it. Like we always talk about, making an appointment with yourself to work on your business. This is one of those things that you want to set an appointment with to work.
Definitely.
On your business also. Yeah. And even if it's, I think sometimes that I know for myself, I look back and I'm going, man, this could be a really daunting thing. But if I allot, a certain amount of time, let's say I'm going to take a half hour this week and a half hour next week until I get to what I actually want to do and lay out the plans and do it that way, I think, that makes it less of a daunting task, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. Small little steps to get the big steps. But most people don't take the little steps, and so the end result is not what they want to achieve.
Yeah. Wow. And do you think, let me ask you this, do you think that a lot of people, and I know many years ago I would look at something, okay, I'm just going after that, and that's what I'm going to do. Do you think that maybe it's easier to go after what you want by figuring out what that is and then working backwards?
Oh, definitely. I think you have to throw yourself based on your age. Like young people at 20, 25, they've got to kind of throw themselves into a 25 to 30-year goal-setting mentality for the long-term goal. And I think people in their 30s and 40s have to say, hey, I'm going to set a 20-year goal. But you have to start by putting something out there in the future that you can literally start building all your energy on. Like, what is your net worth going to be in 30 years? As an example, like right now, if I was 25 listening to this program, I would say 55, I want to have everything taken care of where I don't have to do a thing, and the money I make comes off the interest of the money I have, which is the kind of goal setting people need to do today. And like, say, for example, like if I was 25 right now, I'd say, okay, at 55, I want to have a net worth of this many millions that generate an interest rate based on an average return on mutual funds and investments to where I have a net worth coming in annually that comes back monthly to where, in a way, I'm living off the money my money makes. Now, most people don't think like this, Dave. They kind of think like, I want to make it tomorrow. But it's amazing how your mind and subconscious mind will work if you sit down, have a plan, look out into the future, find a figure that you think, based on interest rates and returns, will bring you the monthly income you need. And this is all called time planning organization and putting it in writing. But most people won't do it, so that's why we teach what we teach.
So one of the keys is writing it down. And
definitely. It's got to be committed to paper.
Right, and it's got to be in a place where you're not going to lose it.
That's right.
Something you might look at on a regular basis, like once a week or something like that.
Well, Dave, when I first started, I wanted to be a millionaire when I was a young 19-year-old kid and flat broke, had nothing. And I went to a seminar, and a man said, if you want to be a millionaire, you have to become a 10,000-aire, then a 100,000-aire, then a quarter-millionaire, then a half-a-millionaire, then a millionaire. And that made such sense. He said, you've got to figure out how we're going to make $1 million of net worth. And he gave us a plan, in essence, of goal setting, which is our subject today, of setting a goal to where, based on what I have to have for $1 million of net worth with such return at such a point in time, that I can then figure out what I have to make each month, each year. Now, this is not easy, but success is not easy. Right. Success is easy after you are one, but until you are one, it's not.
No, yeah, so true. You know, it's always it's the climb up the hill, and you get there and you go, oh, I made it.
That's right.
It takes forever to get there, or you get, and I've heard so many people talk about, you know, you get halfway up the hill and quit. Well, the other half isn't as easy either. But if you quit, then you got to start all over again. So
that's right.
Just keep going in the same direction, because I found out that, you know, God gives us problems to overcome, so He can give us bigger problems to overcome those. So just get by them fast, right?
And not only that, life is a journey, and as long as you haven't quit, you are succeeding. It's when you quit and stop focusing on your goals, your short-term, long-term goals, that's when you really fail. But if you're still trying, even though the abundance hasn't come, you're succeeding because you are not quitting.
Right, you're still in a forward motion.
That's right.
That's pretty awesome. So that's a pretty good system to set everything in place, work backwards, write everything down, and then you've got something to actually to shoot for. Because I know, you know, a lot of people, and they treat their business as transactional, and then they're treating their life as transactional too, without setting the goals.
Exactly.
So what kind of advice would you give someone who's writing all this stuff down? They're starting in the path, and I think we covered it a little, but they get down on themselves for just not being where they want to be. They don't see the progress that they see themselves at. Let's put it that way.
Well, I would say the first thing you have to do is you have to really look at where you're at today and where you can be tomorrow based on your opportunities to have income. Now, in other words, if you're on an hourly wage job, you're having someone pay you an income, you are limited as to what you can earn. Now, thus you have to decide, what can I put away each week, each month, to start building enough to start investing to have a net worth. Now, you that are in commission selling, you need to set a goal as to, hey, how much can I make this year, this month, this week, to where I can invest the money into investments. And that's so critical that you get your money working as hard as you do. Because one of the keys to wealth is living off the money your money makes, but you can't do that till you make some money. So all this is back to goal setting, sitting down, analyzing. Some people hearing us right now may have to say, you know what, the job I have right now does not allow me to make a lot of money. So what I have to do, number one, is make enough money where I can quit this job and go to work somewhere where I can make a lot of money. But people can't make a lot of money if they have no money. So there has to be the discipline of putting away so much a day, so much a week, so much a month, so much a year, to where, hey, I've got some capital to take a risk, take my money, and let it work for me.
Right, and I know that as you go forth, and I know as I've gone forth, and I think about, man, I got to do all these things, and I got to do all these things, and I got to sacrifice and sacrifice. And really, you don't have to sacrifice a whole lot. There has to be some sacrifice in it, because I've got this quote on my desk as we're looking, and it says, It's from a book that I read. It says, what do I have to give up in order to get what I want? No, it doesn't have to be huge, but it could be small bits and chunks. It might not be, well, we're not going out to dinner this week, we're going to take that money and invest it, or put it in an investment account. Or to pay off our bills. Whatever the case may be, to get you closer to your goal.
And there's some other concepts, too. The one is focus. You've got to find out where you want to be in the future and focus on it. You need to have that long-term goal and focus on it. But then you need to say, hey, I've got 84,600 seconds in a day. No one has any more. No one has any less. I've got to find a way to make sure I invest my time properly so that I can be productive to where I have the opportunity to generate income coming back to me. And, of course, you have to really sit down. And again, I said it earlier. I'll say it again. Many people spend so much time, where am I going to spend my 2-week vacation, but they don't plan where am I going to spend my long-term success in my life.
Yeah, because I know that, really, there's lots of people who have their own businesses and they don't plan for the future, and they think that they really have to work the rest of their lives, which they don't if they become proactive in their goal setting and planning for their future.
Exactly.
So we've gone through so much stuff on how to get people to set their goals, to save, to give up things and not sacrifice a whole lot. But if you feel like you have to sacrifice a lot, and you may, I'm thinking about, when I started, I worked 2 jobs until I made enough money in one where I could quit the other, and then after that I went into sales and I made enough money to quit that one. So it was a progressive thing as I went on to get to where that I really needed to be. And like you were just talking about, sometimes, you have to realize that maybe the position, and it could be a job or even your own business you're in, that's not going to get you to where you want to be, so you may have to make some changes, huh?
Exactly. And what I think most people will not put fanaticism as far as activity into their life. But I will say this, that most people, these are generalities, but could put 3 years, 36 months of total focused, fanaticism activity into their business. And they can build it to where they don't have to work that hard anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I did. My first 3 years in real estate, I took 3 days off. I had 3 Christmas days not in the office selling homes. Now, that's fanatical, but because of that fanaticism, my 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th year, I sold more houses than anyone has ever sold, and thus that's why they come to see me. That's why they buy my books, my CDs, DVDs, because they go, no one can sell that many houses and not know how to sell. And selling is such a foundation, Dave, of our whole life. And I try my best, when I do interviews and I have people listening who aren't salespeople, to say, we're all selling. And those that seem to end with the most in life have moved other people to the right decisions through their abilities, their skills, communications, and so forth.
Right. I know I had a conversation with a guy the other day. I was on a mastermind call and he goes, I hate selling. I go, explain it to me, please. He goes, well, it boiled down to that he really disliked making cold calls. And I go, that's a far cry from selling. They're 2 different animals. Selling is you've got a product or service that people need and want and desire, and it's up to you to help them decide on whether working with you is the best fit. But cold calling is not selling. They're 2 different animals.
No, in fact, one of the things I try to teach, Dave, is that you've got to realize if you chose the art of selling something for an income, you've got to prospect your way out of having to prospect, which means you got to say, you know what, I may have 2 years, 3 years of fanatical telephoning, prospecting, contacting, building referrals, building a financial base, but you prospect your way out of having to prospect. But that means you have the guts to pick up the phone, handle the rejection, take the no's, to get all the yeses that will bring you everything in life you want.
Right. Because you got to start somewhere to create that customer fan base that will become your salespeople for you.
That's right.
That's pretty awesome. This has really been awesome and interesting. I just want to thank you so much for sharing on goals and why we need goals and how to pursue goals. And so, Tom, how does our people get a hold of you again?
Well, if they come to our website, tomhopkins.com, they'll see all of our stuff we do. And by the way, Dave, I'm having a beautiful seminar in Hawaii, and it's going to be in March. And most people don't have a chance to go to Hawaii, but they can come for a weekend event, tax deductible, the flight, the time to be in Hawaii. And so I hope they'll come to my website and say, I'm going to go see Tom for a weekend in Hawaii, March 10th and 11th. That would be super.
That would be awesome because, hey, how many times do people say, I wish I could go to Hawaii, and now they can do it at the expense of their business?
That's right. Tax it. Let the government take you to Hawaii.
And stay instead of taking you to the hose, right?
Dave, always the best. All the best. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Tom. We'll catch up later. Thanks so much.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Yeah, all right. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for stopping by today and listening to my conversation with Tom Hopkins. He is such a gracious man and has so much wisdom to share. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I did a podcast with Ann Dickinson, and in the beginning of the podcast, we talked a little bit about business therapy. And the more that I got thinking about it, the more relevant that it actually seemed to be. Because I know there's a lot of times where we don't need coaching, we don't need a consultant, but we do need someone to sit down and listen to what we have going around in our head. And so I just decided to call that business therapy. So come to the webpage, contractorsecretweapon.com, and find out more about this concept and how we might be able to help get that stuff out of your head that you need to get out of your head. So have a great week, be profitable, and stay safe.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Contractor's Secret Weapon podcast with Dave Negri. We would love to hear your comments about this episode, so visit us online at www.contractorsecretweapon.com and let us hear your thoughts. If you were listening via iTunes, please leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive, the more other contractors will benefit from this show. Thank you, and see you next time here on the Contractor's Secret Weapon podcast.